Hello everybody, today we are going to be doing a little video on Vim and why you need to learn it if you don't know it already. So we're not going to go over the basics of Vim because the basics are already very well documented. Once you have Vim installed, just run Vim Tutor and it will open up this interactive Vim document that will tell you how you can do the basics, how you can use HJKL to move, or just the arrow keys. Vim elitists will be like, no, you can't use the arrow keys, you have to use HJKL. Nah, arrow keys. And then once you're ready, and then you can, I did that by accident, quit. So that's the absolute basics. We're going to go beyond the basics today and give you some really cool examples of different ways that you can use Vim. So we're going to look at what we got in here. We got this Vim guide file where I just prepared a couple of little examples of using some cool Vim stuff. So one thing that you can do is macros. So I already have a macro set up, so I'm just going to use it right here. That allows you to split sentences on lines. So I run it and it takes the first sentence and splits it into another line. I can run it again and then it won't do anything because that's the last sentence in this line. But yeah, basically we can look at the macro by using the reg command. I saved it in S. So that is what so this here is what the macro looks like. These are the buttons that I pressed to create this macro. So I press 0 to go to the beginning of the line, / to start a search, and then I'm searching using a regular expression that will match a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point, things that would be at the end of a sentence. And then this Control M, look at this caret M symbol is just the enter key. That's how it appears in this readout of the macro. But you don't have to do anything fancy for that, you just press enter. And then F to find space, so you find a space. So what that does is sometimes after a punctuation mark, there's something else before the sentence is actually over. Like there might be like a parenthesis or a quotation mark or something. So we want to find space so that we can jump past that. So then run the space between, like this space here, for example, between the end of the sentence and the beginning of the next sentence. And we press R to replace that with a new line, which is the enter key. So we use replace and we press enter to replace that space with a new line. And then this Control J, I don't know what that is. That just kind of like shows up there sometimes. It's not actually something that you type. So how you would actually go about recording this macro, which I'm going to go down here and I'm going to press quotation mark SP to paste that macro down there so that if I mess it up I can just copy it back in. But how you would go about recording is first I'm going to hit Q, S, Q. So Q is how you record a macro, and then you hit the key you want to record it to, in this case S, and then I just hit Q again to clear the macro. So you can see if I do register S, you see that it doesn't work. It also gives you some kind of clipboard error. Not sure what that's about, but you could see that the macro is now empty, so we're going to record it from the beginning. So Q, S, and now you can see down at the bottom we're recording S. So we're going to type 0 to go to the beginning of the line. We're already there, but if we weren't, now we are. So then you can type / and then type this regex in. Press enter, press F space, and then R enter, and then that's it. And to stop recording you hit Q, and then we can reg S again and you can see that we got our macro back just like it was before. So that's how you record macros. So I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Yeah, so I'm not getting the clipboard error now. I don't know, something weird, like some weird thing. You can also sort lines in Vim, so if you select like this by hitting capital V and then you can select, I don't know if Vim Tutor goes over that, I don't remember, so I'll just tell you that. And then you can run the sort command and you can sort lines. You can also read in other files, which I thought I didn't have okay, I don't have a file to actually use as an example in this directory. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of do. I can read in this file again. I can, oh no, not like that. I type in command mode, R Vim guide, and I can read another copy of this file right in. Usually you wouldn't do it with the same file, but, you know, just an example. Another powerful thing you can do is use system commands. So this line of JSON here, what we can actually do is we can use exclamation point to use a shell command, and then we can use python-m json.tool, which is a little built-in Python module that will format JSON for you. So if we do that, you can see that it doesn't work. So we might have to select the line first and then do it. There we go. So then that can format the JSON for you. So you can do that with all kinds of things. We can go up here to this list, and we can process it through NL, and it'll number the lines. Of course, you can use... I always forget the options to NL, but like you can set up NL so that it like doesn't have all that space and stuff in front of it. But whatever, that's not a Vim thing, that's NL. You can look at the manual for that. Next, let's go over using buffers and splits. So if you run the buffers command, you can see what buffers you have open. And in this case, we just have one, which is this file that we have open. But we can open another buffer by first making sure we write this file. And we can use the edit command. And then we can open this plain text version of Alice in Wonderland that I got from Project Gutenberg that we'll use later. And that is now open in a separate buffer. So now if we list buffers, you can see now that we have two buffers. So we can use buff1 to jump back to the first buffer, buff2 to go to this one. We can also use buffer previous and buffer next to move around like that. And we can also use VSP to split the window. So now we can open our buffer. We can also do just B for buffer1. So then we can have both buffers open at the same time. And of course you can I do H? No, can't do HSP. I think just SP? What did I just do? Okay, I don't know. Oh yeah, SP, yeah. Yeah, so SP, you can see, does a horizontal split. So then we can open up like a third file here. Or we can quit to just close the buffer. Can you just do... No, you can't just do B for buffer. You have to do buffers. And if you have mouse support on Vim, which is pretty handy, you can slide stuff around, slide splits around. There's probably some Vim elitist already typing in the comments like, no, just use this keybind to do it. No, ooh, sliding go burr. So let's close that. And now let's move on to our more crazy example here, this Alice in Wonderland thing. So if we make a new LaTeX file called alice.txt, what we can do is read in the alice.txt file, and then we have all this. And what we can do is we can actually use some of Vim's more advanced functionality to convert this plain text into a LaTeX file. Now we could probably just throw it through Pandoc and convert it or something like that, but well, no, no, I don't think that would really work too well if you just threw it into Pandoc. But yeah, and of course you could have just downloaded it from Project Gutenberg as a PDF if you really wanted it in a PDF format, but we're just using it for demonstration. So if we open up a split, we can open up the oh, you can also supply a file to the split command. So I could have just opened up the file I wanted to directly, but here you see I've written down. So you can see here I've written down basically what we have to do in order to make this into a LaTeX file. So the first thing that we have to do is just some manual stuff, remove all the stuff at the beginning, like the table of contents and all that. And then we can just take some of this LaTeX formatting and paste it at the beginning. Then what we can do is we can use something called a global command. Now a global command will run a Vim command on every line that matches a certain pattern. So if we type G and then give it a pattern, which is in this case chapter in all capital letters, so on every one of these lines that is the beginning of a chapter, what we can do is run a command, and that command is going to be norm, which allows you to type in a normal command series of key presses as text, and Vim will automatically do them. So we can type DD to delete the chapter label, or the chapter number. So then now we'll be on the line below it. So we can enter insert mode at the beginning of the line with capital I, and then type \chapter opening curly brace to start the necessary syntax for a LaTeX chapter. And then in order to exit insert mode, what we need to do is type Control V to tell LaTeX that we're going to insert a special character, tell Vim we're going to insert a special character, and then press escape. And it will insert this encoded version of the escape key that you can use in the normal command. And then capital A to append to the end of the line, and then closing curly brace. And then if we do that, you can see that all of the chapter titles have been converted to the LaTeX syntax, and then we can use GG to jump up to the top. And then what we can start to do is start to try to combine some of these lines together. Because right now the lines are hard wrapped, which I don't know, a lot of people seem to think that like that's how you do it. I personally find hard wrapping lines really cringe, so we're gonna unhard wrap them. And how you can do that is we're going to use a macro, which I have recorded to J, I believe. So I'm just going to run the macro because I've already got it recorded. But you could see the keys that were pressed to create this macro here. So capital V to start a visual selection, and then closing curly brace to go to the end of the paragraph. But you'll see that it goes one line underneath the paragraph. So you press K to go up one line. That's the only time I use HJK now is in macros, because it makes it easier to see what... Because if you use the arrow keys, they're going to show up as some like encoded thing. But if you use HJKL, you can actually see when you look at the macro readout what keys are pressed and what's going on. And then, now that we have this whole thing selected, capital J will merge it all into one line. And then we hit the the brace again to go down to that space, and then J to go down one line, and now we're set up in the position to run the macro again. Now Vim can actually run a macro multiple times. So if we just type like a huge number, like 10,000, we can run our join macro, and you can see that it's going through and joining all the lines together so that they're not hard wrapped anymore. And Vim will automatically figure out when it's not able to continue running the macro, so it'll automatically stop. So you don't have to worry about typing in a number that's too big and run the macro too many times, because Vim will know when to stop. So we just wait for it to go. Combine all the lines together. Oh, I forgot to remove... I think I forgot to remove some of the metadata at the end. That's okay. Yeah, we did. Forgot to remove. That's okay. So we can remove the metadata at the end by searching for the end in all caps, because that's where the end is at. And then we can start a visual selection, hit capital G to go to the bottom and delete all that nonsense. So now we have it formatted like this. With some places there's some extra spaces. You can just remove those manually if you see those. Now, one thing that this text has is it uses a sort of markdown syntax for italics. So whereas they're supposed to be italicized, since plain text doesn't have actual italics in it, they have them surrounded in underscores. So this U macro which should actually probably be written like this, will convert all the underscore surrounded strings into the LaTeX italic format. So how it does that is it does a search, and it searches for an underscore, and then anything, and then another underscore. That didn't work. Why did it do that? Okay, so apparently in Vim you have to do this for a non-greedy match, which I was not aware of, but we got it, so that now means our macro is wrong, so that means we'll have to actually re-record it. How I didn't notice that it had this mistake when I was testing this out, I don't know, but we're going to Q, U, and then we're going to slash, underscore, dot, backslash, braces like this. And then another underscore. So now we're going to delete the underscore that's there, enter insert mode, type slash text it, exit insert mode, find the next underscore, delete it, type that. Oh, I forgot to type the, oh no, to redo it now. xi slash text it, this, back, find, underscore, xi, that, and then q. So now if we run the u macro, it finds the next thing and replaces it, and then I should probably turn screen key on actually. There we go. Now we got screen key. So now you can actually see what keys I'm pressing. I should have turned that on a while ago. But whatever. So now we got that. So then if we jump down to the bottom, we can add a slash end document. Yeah, that screen key is really big. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it smaller at some point, because that's pretty huge. Now what we should have is an actual compilable LaTeX. Okay, apparently not. Oh, because I didn't finish running the macro. So 1000 and then run the U macro. Okay. And also a way you can make macros run a bit faster is you can say set lazy redraw. And what that will do is it will wait to update your screen until all of the macros are done running, which will cause them to run quite a bit faster. So now we should have a LaTeX document that actually compiles. Yes, I think I have to run it again to get links updated correctly and everything. And then we can open it. As you can see that now we have our contents. The table of contents is generated now. You can actually click on. I thought you could. If the cursor changes, can you not double click on them? There you go. And you can see we got italics working. And it's, of course, you could do all sorts of other formatting if you wanted to. Like some additional things you could do is you can do a simple replace. Oh wait, hold on. No. Like it has these weird quotes. So what you can do is you can enter visual selection, yank the quote, and then do a replacement. So you can do Control R and then quote to paste the special quote in there. And then you can replace that closing quote with 2 single quotes, because that's how the LaTeX format does it. You can replace that. And then you can select the opening quote. And, whoops, and Control R, quote, and replace that with 2 backticks. So now we have our quotes formatted correctly in LaTeX. And we can use the S macro that I talked about before in order to move sentences. That's the wrong macro. What macro did I just run? The S macro. Is that all one sentence? That big, huge... Which one of these are multiple sentences? Are any of these multiple sentences? I think a lot of these are just one long sentence, but some of them, like this one for instance, we can run the S command, or the S macro, split up these lines like this, but as you can see over here, I actually made another macro, A, which uses the try command, and it tries to execute the S macro 10 times and then moves to the next word. Because if we run the S macro here, it goes down here, and then, oh no, it goes, wait, it does the brace and then word, so that it goes to like the next paragraph. And the reason that we have to use this try stuff is because the whole macro will stop if one of the steps like runs into a problem. So like if I run the S macro, it doesn't actually find any it can't like complete the whole macro because there's not actually multiple sentences on this line, so it will like stop. So that's why you have to use this try thing to just try it and then do the next thing. So if we run this like a whole ton of times, then we can run the A macro, and you can see because we turn lazy redraw on, it's not updating until it finishes, and that makes it go a lot faster, and it should still be able to be compiled. I didn't really need to compile it twice, but whatever, there we go. So it's not really going to look any different this time, but it's just to make it 1 sentence per line, because that makes diffing and stuff easier, and also changes the quotes to be the right LaTeX format quotes. So this is a lot of different macro stuff. You're probably not going to be using macros and normal commands and stuff that are this crazy when you're starting out, but I'm just using it to show you guys the kind of things that are possible when you get more adept with Vim. Some of these things probably would have been easier to do just manually because the macros took a lot of trial and error to create. But again, it's just for demonstration purposes. And some of the macros, like this macro that can combine a whole paragraph onto one line, or the S macro that splits sentences up into lines. Once you have those recorded, you can use those in a variety of situations. So, like that S macro, I've had that one for a long time because I use it quite often when I'm getting formats, like plain text formats that I want to like convert to LaTeX, but they don't have 1 sentence per line. So I just run that a couple hundred times and it just flies through and converts them all. So those are some reasons that Vim is probably a better text editor than whatever you're using right now, and you should stop what you're doing and learn Vim right now, because it will save you hours of time once you learn how to use some of its features. Obviously, a lot of the crazy macros and stuff I showed you are sort of some endgame Vim stuff, but even just the stuff that you learn in Vim Tutor will probably vastly increase your efficiency with editing text. So, learn Vim.